I'm Christina Bonington.
And Christina, you were somewhere very interesting and exciting this week.
Yes, I was at the Apple event at the Yerba Buena Center here in San Francisco.
You did actually get a chance to tell us all about the iPhone 5, and then you got a chance to touch it and experience it. So, what's it like?
So it's an iPhone. It's longer and it's lighter. The lightness was the most surprising thing about it. Like it's noticeably longer. It's got a 4-inch display, 1136 by 640 pixels, and but you pick it up and it's so much lighter than the iPhone 4 or 4S.
No, it's because it has more aluminum in it than glass.
Yeah, so instead of that full glass back, it's got a brushed aluminum back, and that brushed aluminum is also, it's slightly textured, so it's not quite so smooth in your hand, which I like. It adds a little bit of like friction, so it doesn't feel like the phone's gonna slip out of your hand if your hands are like oily from pizza or something.
That's the problem with lighter devices, like the things we've seen, some of these Android phones where, you know, it's like a plastic back and it's so light that it just kind of feels like it's gonna, there's not enough to hold it in your hand. You really have to grip it a little bit harder.
Right. And it's also nice that it's the same width as the current iPhone, which for my size hands is like the perfect size for my hand.
There's also a new processor, the A6 processor. This is Apple's own, correct?
Yes. Yeah, and it's super fast. You know, apps load basically instantly. We only had limited like hands-on time, so we'll be testing that more. But from what I could tell, it's a very fast phone.
Okay, and it goes on sale when?
You can pre-order it starting 12:01 a.m. September 14th, and then it goes on sale September 21st, which is the Friday after.
So how much is it going to cost me?
It's same pricing as always, 16 gigs for 200, 32 gigs for 300, and 64 gigs for 400.
Okay.
On contract.
So one of the things that I wanted to touch on is that it seems like it's a very iterative design, and I know Apple's been taking a lot of criticism about this, but it seems like at this point in the product's life cycle, there really isn't too far they can go in any one particular direction where it won't feel like it looks a lot like the last iPhone. What are your thoughts on that?
So I mean, the fact that, you know, it's definitely iterative. It's just like kind of what we've seen before, but a little bit different. But it kind of, you know, the iPhone has its own identity, and I think that it's smart for Apple to kind of stick with that same identity. Instead of, you know, we see maybe like Samsung phones that look completely different every single time, but with an iPhone, it's very clear these are all iPhones. So I think it's smart on that front, but it makes it, you know, kind of less exciting for us, I guess. You know, we're not going to see some crazy out there design.
Matt Honan, our own Matt Honan, wrote about this right after the launch, and I agree with what he said, which is that before a big event like this, the hype is so huge, and there's so many expectations, and everybody, I think people tend to project their own, you know, wants onto the announcement. Like, it doesn't have NFC, but I really, really wanted it to have NFC. Well, you know, there's probably a good reason why it doesn't have NFC, and, you know, people can't see past their own, like, wants and desires.
Definitely.
Into that space. So, I mean, Apple is always in this weird position where they're not really creating a device that, they're creating the device that they know is going to be best for them and best for their customers. But of course, it's not the device that everybody wants.
Right. Yeah, and I know, and some of these other phones have come out, like the Lumia 920, have these fancy features like wireless charging and NFC, and they're not really fully implemented in the world yet. So I mean, even if you had it in the phone, you can't really take advantage of it everywhere you go. And so I feel like Apple's not going to hop on the train with anything like that until it is something you can use everywhere you can go.
Yeah, that's a good point. Those things are really successful in niche products, but yeah, for the mainstream, maybe not quite there.
Yeah.
And when we get our review unit in, of course, we'll be able to tell you a lot more about the phone itself, things like the LTE performance, things like battery life, screen, you know, what the screen looks and feels like, all that stuff. And Christina's going to be the one telling you all about that.
Yeah.
So we have that to look forward to. In the meantime, there's some new headphones that come with it.
Yes.
And Nathan has those, and he's going to tell us all about them. So for the last 10 years or so, this has been the thing, right? The white wires that come with every iPod, every iPhone. Well, that is about to change.
Yes, the iconic earbuds are being replaced with earpods. This is truly a new day in consumer technology. This is an amazing breakthrough. Well, actually, no, it's just They're just really nice headphones. They're still $29. They fit much nicer in my ear.
So they're actually they're sort
great.
of like a little bit in ear more so than on ear design.
Yeah, Apple redesigned their headphones, the free ones you get with the iPhone and with the iPod, and can buy for $29 at the Apple Store. And it has this really slick shape that fits into your ear canal. It sounds way better. You can actually get some bass.
Oh.
It's not just a muddled, flat mess. A lot of detail. You can hear layers of sound. I was listening to a lot of different rock and jazz and hip hop, and it all sounded good.
That's cool.
These things are fantastic.
So, like, I know a lot of the bass response and the high end, especially, has a lot to do with the seal that you get when you put it in your ear. So these actually form a sort of a seal.
These actually have a seal. You don't get the suction that you'll get with a lot of in-ear headphones, and I'm cool with that. But there's a bunch of different ports built in around the headphones that allow air to travel through. That gives you a little kind of airflow chamber to get some bass.
Sure.
And a nicer mid-range too.
Very cool. So those come with the iPhone 5 and the newly redesigned iPods.
You got it.
Right? And if you want to upgrade to them, you just go to the Apple Store and you spend $30.
Yep. It's a fair price.
Yeah.
These are great. I mean, they sound as good as some $100 in-ear headphones that I've tried in the past.
All right, well, I'm going to take your word for that because there's no way I'm putting those foul things in my ears after they've been in your ears.
Try them
No,
out. Come on.
no. But that's all the time we have, and we'll be back next week with another edition of the Gadget Lab Show. And of course, keep your eyes peeled on Wired.com/reviews for the full review of the iPhone 5 from Wired. And until then, we'll see you next time. Thank you.